G'day guys, the question that we're going to answer today is how affected would the outer suburbs be by the Melbourne property cycle downturn? That was asked by Gloria. Before we get into that though, let me just quickly introduce myself. My name is Tim Guest. I'm Australia's leading financial educator and I'm the Managing Director of Infinite Wealth. If it's your first time joining us, welcome along. If you're a long time follower, welcome back. Of course, we love to get you guys interaction with these videos. So please, love, like, angry, comment, question, everything like that. G'day Josh, welcome back mate. And the only thing we are in return for me sharing, my 20 years worth of experience and, the expert knowledge that I've acquired all over those years is that please just share these videos so that your friends and family can see them. We can continue to build a bigger audience and it keeps me inspired to do these videos. All right, so let's get into it. Let's answer Gloria's question. How affected the outer suburbs going to be in the Melbourne property cycle downturn? Well, a great place to look here is actually we can cast our minds back and look back towards the end of last year, towards the early of this year, and we can see exactly how the Sydney property cycle moved. Now, of course, Sydney is the cycle that moves first in terms of all the major capital cities. Sydney being the most popular city in Australia, it's the cycle, the market that moves first. So we can kind of sit back and watch what's happening to Sydney, and that'll give us an indication about what's going to happen to the other capital cities, all in line. Melbourne being number 2, of course, second most populous capital city in Australia. So let's have a look at the stats rather than just weighing it up, because normally most people think that if you want to buy in the best area, you've got to buy 10 k's from the city. People think that the best place to buy is actually the inner city suburbs. One thing that a lot of people forget, a lot of people don't take into consideration, let's probably relate it back to something that we've very commonly heard. So one of the things I most commonly hear out there is that, you always buy the worst house in the best street. Let's have a look at this as a concept for a second. So if you say this is your street, you've got the median house price of this street. If you buy the best house in the street, of course, the majority of houses drag the value of your property down. If you've got the cheapest house in the street or potentially the worst house in the street, let me just see if that'll come up. All right, then the majority of houses in that area will drag the value of your property up, okay? So now let's cast our mind back to those particular stats. My laptop is going slow today. Excuse me for the delay. Let's go back. All right, let's go back and have a look at these stats. All right, so this is what the Sydney market did. We've got July in 17, okay? The Sydney market is the whole market is the complete lines. The shaded lines are the bottom 25%. So one of the great things you can see here is in every state of growth here, what you've got is the market, the bottom 25% was growing at a much greater rate than what the whole market was. As you can see here, we're talking, growth of twice, growth of twice, growth of about twice, growth of probably about 3 times. So this is all coming back to that principle that I was talking about before, always buy the worst house in the best street. People forget that applies whether you're talking about a street, a suburb, a city, a state, or a nation, okay? On the flip side, if we look at the Sydney market in terms of decline, okay, I was talking about the Melbourne market there. If we talk about the Sydney market in terms of decline, once again, in every state of those, the declines, the bottom 25% of the market was seeing were far less than what the whole market was seeing. So while you're seeing in the outer suburbs more growth than the whole market, when you also move into decline, we're seeing less decline than the whole market as well. And in fact, towards the end of the year, December, January, February, March 18, okay, what we were actually starting to see is while the Sydney market was still in decline, we're actually starting to see growth in the outer suburbs. So if we can now kind of translate that across to the Melbourne market, and primarily where we're at the moment in the Melbourne market, we've already started to see price declines creeping into the inner city suburbs, the more expensive suburbs. We're still seeing some growth out in those outer suburbs, although we are likely to see that growth will start to temper. You might start to see some declines like we're seeing in the inner city suburbs. However, what's likely to happen is that those declines will not be as significant as the rest of the market. So the outer suburbs, look, a lot of people forget the affordability belt, that's where the greatest demand, okay? You get a lot less fluctuation in terms of price differential, okay? So the outer suburbs, while I think we're gonna see some minor declines, I don't think they're gonna be overall that bad, okay? Now, look, just moving forward, and I'm gonna skip through this again. Look, I know once again we get a lot of requests for people to come and see me live. I just want to show you the details of my next live event. Went a little bit too far there. I'm actually got a couple of events on next week in Perth. I'm going to be in Perth on Tuesday the 16th of October at the Perth Convention and Exhibition Centre. They've got an event there from 6:30 to 9:30. I'll put some links in the post above if you want to get a couple of free tickets to come out and meet me and check out and hear what I have to say. Obviously, the Perth market's in a very interesting state right now. Probably going to start seeing some pretty strong indicators coming over the coming months, maybe 6 months, something along those lines. Melbourne, Wednesday, the 17th of October at the Crown Complex there. Once again, the event is from 6:30 to 9:30. Link in the comments if you want to get some tickets to come and see me there. Guys, that's pretty much it. Gloria, I hope that answered your question. Keep your questions coming, guys. Like I said, please share this video with your friends and family, and look forward to speaking to you after our next Q&A session. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great night.